So Scorpio or Mars children or Mars North Node and sex work. So I've been looking at the ideas around sex work. And like I've worked with sex workers before, like from a marketing standpoint. And I realized, like for instance, if you lack sexual experience, you can, because it's a real thing, hire people to have sex with you. Some guys would say this is whack, or some guys would say this, you're a lame, whatever case may be. But for these purposes, if you just like the Mars sees things different than Venus. And I've seen this, no cap. I've seen Venus children, when they talk about sex, it's very ownership based. It's very ownership based. It's very emotional. It's very emotional. And I've seen that from Taurus women and Libra women, to be more specific. And I'm like, the Mars child does not have to do it that way. Now, emotion can be involved as a element to the sex, but usually the sex is for Venus children, it is emotional. So, or I would say, you need emotions to enter the gate. Instead of sex, instead of emotion just being a part of it, and when the moment is over, the moment is over. And it's just like, it feels good in the moment and it gives you an experience. That's how a Mars child would see sex. A Venus child would see it as deeper than that. They don't want to involve themselves with too many people, because when they mature a lot, because they don't want to get their feelings or their emotions caught up in too many things that don't matter to them. Now, is a Mars child inept to that? Like, in other words, is a Mars child, do they have to escape the idea of getting into emotion? No. But you want to control yourself so you don't get distracted from the mission. And here's what that means. Let's say you're on your purpose, you're on your goals, all this other stuff, right? You're making money, you're doing what you need to do. But you just want to have sex, and you don't want to be tied to dating anybody. You don't want to be tied to dating or a relationship. And from what I've listened to from different sex workers, that's what comes in the middle. A sex worker, and this is why even when you marry, right? I don't understand why you pick up random women from the street when you can charge for that. You can pay for that. So and the crazy part about it is, if I was married, I'm not saying this would happen to me, but if I would do this, but if I was married, as I think about it, I wouldn't get a random woman in the street. I would pay somebody that I want to fuck, that's clean, that don't got no diseases, and they don't want babies like how I don't want. They don't want to have children with me. I don't want to have children with them. You pay them, do what you need to do, and you keep it pushing. They don't have to know your wife. They don't have to know nothing. And the only reason why they come out is because they're being destructive. They're intentionally come get you. But when you deal with a regular woman, like let's say Derek Jackson, right? She dealt with normal women who want children, who have the regular expectations of women. But when you have sex workers, they don't have the same expectation of you. And again, the only reason why they would let the cat out of the bag is to cause destruction or get clout. But when you have somebody who's under the wraps and and it was um a good one. When you are dealing with somebody who wants to keep it just as much of a secret as you do. And here's what that means by that, right? That means that let's say they're on this is something that they do just to get paid. Right? Because I know women that sell panties, and some women, like I've been researching online, some of them, like I like one that said in particular very bluntly, this is not something that is a profession for me. This is a hobby because I like sex, I like whatever, and this is a hobby for me. This is not a this is not a yo, I want everybody to know. This is something that me and you need to know. You're getting your experience, you're getting and your needs met. I'm getting my experience and my needs met. Right? So you have to consider. Well, I would say you have to, but you can, like, what's crazy. A couple years ago when I was working at my first job, the guys used to say that all the time, and I get it now. Years later, that was, and I've heard it. And it was crazy. I heard it from a Scorpio. I heard what I'm exploring now from a Scorpio, where he said, "Yo, I could set you up. You could get some prostitutes." I thought that wasn't real. And when I say it wasn't real, I didn't think people really do that for real, because I was really innocent minded. And I wouldn't say I was never really doing it like, I'm a virgin. I never thought about it from I need somebody to love me. Now, what I would say is I always thought of it from I want a connection. I want emotions in the transaction, but I want it where I get in and I get out. I don't, and at this point in this part of my mission as a person in deep solitude, I don't need the attachment of any relationship. I just need to know you clean, I'm clean. You ain't bringing no burden to my life. I'm not bringing no burden to your life, and that's it. And I get my needs met and keep it pushing. That's it. I don't need nothing else from you. I don't need nothing else from you. Right? And that gives me the experience I want as a virgin, who I'm no longer a virgin, and I can keep coming, pun intended. And I can go about my life without getting attached to you, because that's your job, quote unquote. That's your job. And I will be a regular until I'm in a relationship. And I don't want to take it. I don't want you to take it personal that I don't fuck with you like that. I just no longer need you. But a Taurus or a Libra would not see it that way all the time. A Libra I'm not saying they don't have the ability, but I've heard it two different ways. From a Taurus, where she said, if you have sex with me, you're mine. You're my property. Scorpios do that only if you truly have something. Now, they're crazy and possessive, but you gotta have that good. You gotta have phenomenal sex, or you really have to have something that they want, or they just a nutcase. But a Taurus, because again, the way to enter I mean like a door with Taurus or Libra, they actually have to have an emotional connection. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you, and I never considered it till today, about sex work on that level. Where I had a friend of mine, Sydney Green, she was like, with phone sex, this is so good. You're fulfilling one of a man's needs. I mean, he could have this deep. You could have a whole wife, and she told me this, and she said this online before. She was like, "Yo, but you have a fetish you can't bring to your wife. You have a fetish that your wife will not fulfill, right? And your husband or wife or your girlfriend or boyfriend, no, I'll say your girlfriend, she's not obligated to fulfill all your sexual needs. Now, some people believe that, not say all your sexual needs, but all your needs. She's not required to do that at all. Because she's not required to do any of that, I would say that she says when we're on the phone having phone sex, I'm fulfilling a need that he cannot bring to this woman. I'm getting paid, and I keep it pushing. And he could be a regular, and he could be paying. And here's the thing with the mixture between Scorpio and Taurus. Come on. The difference with Scorpio is you enter the door with money. You don't enter the door with emotion. Now, with Taurus, there may be money involved, but it's not the make or break of the deal. The emotion is the make or break of the deal. Scorpio, the money is the make or break of the deal. Emotion is just a plus. And yeah, that's a really powerful concept if you understand what that means. And that's what I love about this Mars North Node. If I wanted to have sex work done, if I wanted to lose my virginity to a sex worker, I can do that. Now, when you're of the Taurus North Node, again, you want to have sex because it enhances you and emotionally and all that other stuff. And like a Gemini told me, and all the pieces in my life are starting to connect. That's deep. A Gemini once told me, he said, sex is not about, and he was talking about religion, because he's religious but deeply spiritual, working at a metaphysical shop, right? He was like, God does not require you to say, it's not a have to, that you have to stay, you have to be a virgin till married. It's the highest ideal. But what you should do is you should protect yourself spiritually, and you should protect yourself from disease. And everything after that is your sexual experience. So understand this. When you're with the Scorpio North Node, don't shame sex work because it is a forefront of your life. But here's the thing about sex work now, if you're getting it done, you keep it a secret. You keep it a secret. It's not something for you to tell everybody. It's not something that you tell everybody that you engage in. It's not, and that's where the shame comes in from it. But when you are the person who's entering, when you come in the door and you're entering with money, you remember you're doing the Scorpio North Node of secrecy. So you have to be secretive about you engaging them, your engagement with them, because you don't know. Come on, man. When you tell this experience, right? You don't know who you're telling and what they're gonna. What they're gonna do with that information. Because you don't know what they're gonna do with that information, Let's say I paid to lose my virginity, right, with a sex worker, right? I don't need to tell the world that. It's just a hypothetical situation. I don't need to tell the world that. I don't need to tell my friends that. I don't need to tell nobody that. Unless you are a person I can give my secrets to, and I know that information is going nowhere. If I don't know that information is going nowhere, don't say anything. Because it's really none of nobody's business. Who you having sex with is nobody's business. And when you mature, you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn that you should be bragging about who you're sleeping with anyway. Because most people don't really care. And when you, like, let's say from man to man, right? I shouldn't be telling my boys that because it's none of my business. And I should only tell him when he wants to be put on. If he wants to be put on, like he's desperate to lose his virginity, or he wants more sexual experience, now I would say you gotta pay the price. You gotta pay the cost to be the boss. Because if you don't want access to, because we live in a world where sex is still the easiest thing to sell. It's still the easiest thing to sell. So, no, you don't have to do none of that. You just gotta, I would say, because you're in the Scorpio North Node, what you need to do is have the spirits, angels, ancestors, guides, God, send you, it's align you with people who won't put you in danger. Meaning you catching diseases, and I would say, don't fuck with nothing that don't flow. Here's what I mean. If you see something not going easily, don't repeat. Don't press it. If you see something where that person is asking for too much, don't do it. And I would also say the transaction needs to be completely under your control. And here's what I mean by that. You're not controlled like this Taurus. You're not entering the door with emotion. So because you're not entering the door with emotion, you're not letting emotion control you. You're getting what you paid for. And that's it. You need to have a person do their job for what you're paying them for. Period. That's what you paid for them. That's what you paid them for. You're not paying them for nothing else. Nothing else. You're not paying them to like you, to be in love with you. You're paying them, and you can, from what I've researched, you can pay for a girlfriend experience. So, but again, this is you paying to get experience. Right? So, but like I said, I would even advise, if you're a virgin, you don't got no game, you ain't trying to talk, you're not trying to go through rejections and the sales of dealing with women, go get a prostitute. Go get a whore. Go get a health worker. Get the experience, and what I would say, and here's the thing again, you're not led by emotion. So you're not spending your whole monthly income on prostitutes. You're not overspending on prostitutes. You're doing what you can afford. And you're doing what you can afford. And you're doing you're doing according to the need at the time. Meaning, if you work really, 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 really hard, and you don't have time for a whole bunch of social engagement and all this other shit right now, we are pulling this girl, pulling. If you don't want to do that, you can pay for it. And still fuck bitches, get experience. So when it is time, and find those women who are really clean, so when you find your wife or your girlfriend, you have that experience. So, Scorpio and sex work. Or even Aries, no, the sex work.